lo que digan. No entregues a nadie más la fuerza para pagar dentro de tu alma la alegría. De frente arriba, la mirada fija, y si te caes te limpias la herida. No te calles, no estás solo, alguien te pueda ayudar. La felicidad no está en 10,000 followers ni 100 likes. Que nada te robe la alegría. Y báilate la vida, no importa lo que digan. To go with the flow, get to be the flow yourself. Pon tu mente positiva, aunque tengas un mal día. It's okay not to be okay, tomorrow will be a new day. Y báilate la vida, de noche o de día, que hasta la melancolía tiene su propia canción. Pon tu mente positiva, saca la mala energía, encuentra la alegría en tu fuerza interior. Up. You gotta take heart, you gotta believe in yourself and keep your head up. Don't you be afraid to ask for help. It doesn't make you weak, it makes you brave. Happiness is not about 10,000 followers, 100 likes. You gotta stay above the influence. Dance your life away, no matter what they say. Don't go with the flow, get to be the flow yourself.
Primeros en llevar un mensaje de bendición. Primeros en sonido de calidad. Primeros en programación. Primeros en variedad musical. Somos tu verdadera alternativa en línea. Estás conectado con coesradio.com.
www.coesradio.com.
Mi Iglesia Online. En Mi Iglesia Online queremos atenderte de la mejor manera con nuestros servicios. Si tienes una empresa y quieres estar a la vanguardia de la tecnología, somos tu mejor opción. O si tienes una iglesia y quieres que más personas te conozcan, Mi Iglesia Online es lo que necesitas.
Te ofrecemos canal de streaming, canal de radio, consultoría, diseño y construcción de páginas web, diseño y construcción de aplicaciones móviles premium.
Brindamos un soporte técnico 24 horas al día, 7 días de la semana.
Para más información sobre nuestra gran variedad de servicios, llámanos al 305-510-8338 o al 787-718-6820 o búscanos en nuestra página web en www.miiglesiaonline.com.
Llenando tus días con buena música y una programación diferente. Con Jesús y contigo en todo momento. Esta es WCOEDB, coesradio.com, transmitiendo desde Miami, Florida, para el mundo entero. Conéctate.
Las expresiones y opiniones presentadas durante este programa no son necesariamente las expresiones de WCOEDB Miami, WBRT DB Miami, WJRM DB, Coes Media Group Incorporado, coesradio.com, ni sus radioestaciones afiliadas.
Even if you aren't do the right, it's okay not to be okay. Tomorrow be another day. Dance your life away, no matter what they say. Don't go with the flow, yet to be the flow yourself. Dance your life away, no matter what they say.
Strategies for success right from the experts. In this workshop, you will hear first-hand accounts from our panel of entrepreneurs on navigating the early stages of business, including tips on time management, stakeholder engagement, and maintaining a healthy work-life balance. Whether you're just starting out or looking to strengthen your strategy, this session will equip you with the tools and knowledge to thrive in an ever-changing business landscape. Before we introduce our moderator and panelists, it's my honor to present Saulo Pereira, Vice President and Senior Business Consultant from JP Morgan Chase, today's presenting sponsor of this summit and an amazing supporter of Hub's programs. Please join me in welcoming Saulo.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Once again, my name is Saulo Pereira. I work for the Coaching for Impact department at JP Morgan Chase. First of all, I want to say thank you for the entire team of the Hispanic unit of Ford for organizing this summit and for dedication and support to small business and entrepreneurs. Your work is truly making a difference. A heartfelt thank you as well to the local business owners and entrepreneurs joining us today. You are the backbone of our local economy and the driving force behind the revitalization of neighborhoods, creating jobs, fostering community development by keeping doors open and thriving. At JP Morgan Chase, we're committed to expanding exclusive economic growth and community reserve. Through JP Morgan Chase for Coaching for Impact, we're helping underserved entrepreneurs gain access to capital, customers, networks, mentorships, and other resources. We have a table here. We'd love to talk to you after the workshop and support the small business to grow and scale. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Saulo, and a special thank you to JP Morgan Chase for sponsoring our summit and helping bring us together to learn and to be inspired. And now, to guide us through today's discussion, I'm excited to introduce our moderator, Jim Ryan. Jim Ryan is a successful serial entrepreneur and venture capitalist. He's the founder and CEO of Outlet, a digital business process outsourcing company with over 2,000 employees across 3 countries. He's also co-founder of the Venture Mentoring Team and founding partner of Glades Capital. A leader in the South Florida startup ecosystem, Jim is passionate about entrepreneurship, and he was a keynote speaker for Hispanic Unity of Florida in 2019. He was also a proud recipient of the American Dreamer Award. With his wealth of expertise, he'll lead us through an engaging conversation. So please join me in welcoming Jim Ryan.
Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias. How's everybody doing? Yeah. Getting the energy up this morning. I love it. So thrilled to be back again here. 2019, I was the keynote, very proud recipient, as Michelle mentioned, of the American Dreamer Award. And I'd like to thank Michelle and my good friend Felipe for organizing this summit. This is a terrific summit, helping entrepreneurs, small business owners. Please give them a round of applause for organizing this wonderful event. So it's great to be back. This is Hispanic Heritage Month, and with the last name of Ryan, it would not be intuitive to think, is that guy Hispanic? But mi madre es puertorriqueña. Any Puerto Ricans in the here today? Wonderful. That's terrific. So my mother came over here in 1942 from the to the mainland in a military airplane, landing in New York Harbor, which must have been thrilling and scary, coming over and flying into New York. Didn't speak any English, and I am her proud son, and thrilled to be and honored to be here with all of you today. So we've got a great panel. I want to introduce our experts. They're going to share some wisdom and some nuggets. And at the conclusion, I would like you all to start thinking about some wonderful questions that you might want to ask them, because we're going to allot about 10 minutes for you to engage with them with some questions that you might have to hear directly from the experts. Does that sound good?
Yes.
All right. All right, let's get going. So, if I can order here, if I can have Alex come on up first. Please welcome Alex Mauricio. Wherever you like. Alex is the CEO of Colada Cuban Cafe. Who doesn't love a good Cuban coffee? The company consists of Broward County's oldest Cuban bakery, Miramar Bakery in Hollywood, and the Colada Cuban Cafe. It also has a wholesale division that supplies local and non-local restaurants, hotels, and other venues with custom bakery products. Alex's current main focus area are driving down costs, so important today, company-wide continuing growth while ensuring quality products and service, and transitioning the Colada Cuban Cafe concept to a franchise model. Please welcome Alex. Kenny, can you come on up, please? I'd like to welcome Kenny Urataga. Kenny is the founder of NCDS Pro, a brand dedicated to transforming ideas into reality through innovation and quality in both residential and commercial projects by leading and manufacturing of aluminum and structural steel components and understanding customers' needs. Kenny and NCDS Pro have built a strong reputation in the industry and achieved sustainable growth through their commitment to leadership, honesty, values, quality, diversity, collaboration, and passion. Kenny is also passionate himself about community service and mentorship. I love that. Please welcome Kenny. And last but not least, Amore Cifuentes. Please come on up. Amore Cifuentes is the managing partner of Zendo Wealth Advisors, formerly known as Blue Key Wealth Advisors. He provides wealth management services to a diverse client base of families and individuals, in addition to specializing in working with physicians. Amore's career spans over 30 years. During that time, he has developed an extensive background in finance, lending, investment, and private wealth management. And during that time, he has developed an extensive background in finance, lending, investment, and private wealth management. Please welcome Amore. I mentioned we've got about 10 minutes at the conclusion, so I promised them all I'm not going to stump them with some hard questions. So I'm going to give them some good questions. I'll take this here. Hello? There we go. Hello? Yeah. So let's talk about early challenges. It's hard starting up a business, and these are great founders to ask some questions to. So first question is, you're looking for funding. You're managing startup costs. You're looking for customers. Who's going to be my first customer? What were some of the biggest challenges when you were starting up your company, and how did you overcome the challenge? So why don't we start with Kenny first in the middle? On the spot.
Yes. Okay. When I started, I didn't have a business plan. Actually, I'm an engineer, and I was here. I came from overseas. I was relaxing for a couple of weeks, and then someone asked me, "Hey, you have some experience in fabrication?" And I said, "Okay, I've got some time. Let me try it." And a few years later, I'm here in the same type of direction I started, and the company has grown step by step. You know, when you got a job, you get paid. You go to a bigger job, you get paid. And the problem from the start was always cash flow. Where are you going to find that sweet spot where, you know, you start owing money and then you get that balance where money's coming in and, you know, you can keep going. Beginning, I'll be honest, I using my own capital, credit cards. I was able to do that for a long time. And the challenge was always trying to keep up at the same time, getting equipment, machinery, people. So I'll say the biggest challenge was trying to keep up, especially when you start small, you wear a lot of hats. So besides the financial, I'll be more like an operational guy. I would give you projects, here's the budget, go. That's my experience. That was like very good at it. Here now I gotta seek for money, deal with customers, deal with challenges from the construction side or from the design point of view. There were so many things. So the biggest challenge for me was trying to keep up with everything at the same time.
Wearing multiple hats.
Yes, yes. So you were saying financial side. Well, it's very I mean, for me, it was credit card all the way until I got to a point I was able to sustain myself, and then it became like not smooth, but I was able to control it. Also, trying to get the jobs that you can actually, even if you get in debt, you can survive once you complete it. So trying to measure yourself before you say, "Oh, I go," and then always have a plan B.
Plan B, yeah. Good advice. Maury, same question.
Well, my career go back 35 years. My first company I started on a $5,000 credit card, and me and my partner, and we grew it to a couple hundred employees. We were able to sell it off, but it was challenging. It was very, very challenging. What I learned from that was most young entrepreneurs misestimate how much capital things are really required to do. I mean, they just miss the whole mark. And later on in life, as I started other firms, and the last one I started a private equity firm, is I'm smart enough to bring in some other capital partners in that also not just write a check, but can bring to the bottom line as far as knowledge, experience, talents. So I was able to, of course, a group of guys that have been through entrepreneurs, ups and downs, good and bad, and that's really helped me a lot. So as a younger, if I had to go back, 30 years, I wish I would have started the first firm, not just with capital, but also looking for board members that know what they were doing, that could bring some expertise and some capital, but not just the capital. The capital, everybody can write a check. You want other people to write a check and bring some other value. And I think that's, one of the things that young entrepreneurs can do, just, get that balance.
Very good, striking a balance. Alex, how about you?
I think my biggest challenge when I was starting as an entrepreneur was making the initial decision and leap of faith to become an entrepreneur. So we own a Cuban bakery that's been around for a long time. I grew up in that bakery. I did my undergrad up at FSU in Tallahassee, and then from there went on to study law at the University of Miami. I had no desire to be a lawyer whatsoever. I was a fat guy who liked to play with food. And so while I was in Tallahassee, I would always notice that the kids from Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville, Georgia, Alabama knew what Cuban coffee was. They knew what croquetas were. And they knew that they liked it. It just had never been presented to them in a way that they understood, like a Starbucks, a Chipotle, an Einstein, something like that. So I started developing the idea during my undergrad of what Borrada Cuban Cafe eventually became, which was a fast casual Cuban with a twist concept based off of what my family had been doing now going on over 40 years that we've had, the bakery's been in Hollywood. So the initial decision to be an entrepreneur, to leave law school, to pursue this, to seek partners with capital that could also bring something else to the table was the first biggest challenge. And then from there was actually getting it done. My number one advice that I tell people is that nobody cares about your idea as much as you do. Do not get insulted when a landlord, for example, when we were starting out and we were just a logo on a piece of paper, would laugh at us. Believe in yourself, be your biggest fan, understand that you are your biggest fan, grow some thick skin, decide to get it done, and then get it done.
Perfect, I like that, thick skin. So building a support network, so keeping some of the things that we just heard in mind, you've got the business up and running, you start getting some traction, people ordering a couple of Cuban coffees maybe. How do you build sort of a support network? to help you? And how did you sort of, through maybe a year or two, the first couple of years, how did you sustain that support network, whether it's from funding that you received, people, advisors, mentors, and so forth? Alex, we'll start with you this time.
So it's hello. So it's not just because she's sitting here in front of me. I was very fortunate to meet my wife during my undergrad up at FSU, and so when I made the decision, to be an entrepreneur, buy into the company, the family company of the bakery, and then start working on Colada, we lived off of her preschool teacher salary. She was working at Mailman Siegel, right down the street. So that helps when you have a wife, and I have a lot of mentors. People who've been there before, who've gone through the trouble, the trial, the tribulations, and give you advice that you know, you trust, and that you can put into action. So family, friends that you can live off of, and mentors that you can go to for advice that actually care about you and the concept.
Super answer. Kenny, how about you?
Well, very similar story. My wife, she supported me a lot from the start, especially when I started seeing that actually the business was developing and you get to a point, okay, you got a career, you got great opportunities knocking your door, and that moment in life where should I go? Should I stick with this, or you sure thing happened on the other side? But I took a leap of faith and I went forward. She supported me a lot. There's a lot of resources out there. Sometimes I think people are very stubborn. And I got this, but it's always good to see what's out there. Ask questions. They don't charge you for asking questions. You might not get an answer. You might not get a good answer. It's up to you to decide if kind of use this, or maybe use this that's not too good answer to ask a better question and start getting information. My case, I'm a fabricator. There's a lot of things that I didn't know. There's a lot of things that architects keep asking to do new stuff that is never done before. So I use the web, you don't know how much time, how many times YouTube has saved my butt trying to find a guy who does this welding job or this type of tool that did not exist. And there's a lot of resources in my case. YouTube has been my best friend. I criticize my kids you don't know what you have. Instead of killing time, even for homework, it will help you. So that's one. Your suppliers, people that sell me aluminum, steel, hardware, ask them questions. Have you ever had an issue where these have specific anything that comes to you that you don't know? Ask questions. So I think that's your best mentor. Yourself asking questions and evaluate if that feedback that you're getting will help you.
Asking questions and resourcefulness. Jorge, how about yourself?
Well, since this fine gentleman mentioned your wives, and my wife's not here, but I'll say that she's my biggest supporter after 36 years of listening to my ideas. But all kidding aside, the second time around when I did things differently, I was able to get some good mentors and some good board members. And if you ever go to our website, you read their bios, you say, why are those great guys hanging out with Maury? I can't teach them anything. But when I approached them, one of the things I really wanted to know was not their success, because they were very successful people, extremely successful. I want to know their failures. So here's my idea. What do you think? Where did you fail at? Because every successful person will fail. We'll go up and we'll go down. It just happens. So I was able to do that with them, and through that, they started understanding me, and I started understanding more about them. And one of my board members, Ken Brown, who's very successful in private equity, actually gave me a book he's writing about all his failures. And it's like, wow, you're extremely successful, but he goes, yeah, but you learn from your failures. That's where you want to start. And so I've learned through that. And then to keep them on board and keep them engaged, what I found with very successful people, they just want the truth. And what you want to do is set your metrics and say, I'm going to hit this target, this target, this target. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, right? That's business, right? It's ups and downs. But being able to be honest with them, is we didn't hit it, and be able to pivot and learn from that and change gears if you have to, versus trying to be, it's gonna work, it's gonna work, it's gonna work. And at some point you have to just be reality, well, my idea didn't quite work out. Maybe we have to pivot and listen to their experience, because they've been there, they failed, and they succeeded. So,
great answer. So you got the business up and running, you're getting some traction now, and you're wearing multiple hats, right? You've got customers at the door, you got people on the phone, you got emails coming in, you got social media. It seems like it's overwhelming. How do you prioritize juggling everything that's being thrown at you, and while you're still trying to make a dollar? So, Maury, why don't we start with you this time?
that's always a challenge, I think, for every business owner, especially an entrepreneur starting. So my time, what I've learned is basically I have to just, when I prioritize, I also color coordinate my calendar based on activities, what's moneymaker, what's support, what I can delegate. So some things you can delegate, but you still have to keep an eye on it, but you want to be able to delegate and be faithful to do that. Have trust in your staff. Other things you have to be involved in, other things are moneymaker activities, you have to be involved. So I prioritize based on that way. My calendar is always color coordinated and set by priority numbers. And then the other thing is you got to be honest with time management. I've learned to be very honest with people when I have a meeting, say, my cutoff is at 10 o'clock, my cutoff is 11 o'clock. If we have to reschedule for another meeting, we have to reschedule for another meeting. Because if you don't do that, the rest of the day gets out of control, and then everything gets out of control. So I've gotten really good at time management, say, okay, my cutoff, and I'm very honest when an appointment, say, hey, look, today at 12 o'clock, I'm done. Today at 2 o'clock, I'm done because I'm going to go get my mom. So she's number one. So
you got to watch those time frames for sure. How about you, Kenny?
Okay, I try to give quality answers to whoever has an issue at the company, and when they all come at the same time, I started giving out numbers. Okay, you're 1, you're 2, we're in a meeting, someone comes in, you're 4, and even if it takes me until very late at the day, during the day to get back to that person, I will. And good thing now with technology, you have FaceTime, you can have call them, have a conference call. Always get to that person, give them quality response, give them time, listen to that to them, because if garbage in, garbage out. You give them something and then they make a big mistake and cost you a fortune, and say, what do you do? It's like, well, that's what I thought I had to do. So every mistake that you make, usually in fabrication, manufacturing, it's money. Besides money, it's angry customer, and bad stuff gets a lot of press. Sometimes I hear, we never heard about MCDS Pro that because I've done hundreds of parts for you, but we never had an issue. That's why you never heard about this. And for example, last week I had an issue where 2 panels and everything went loose, and that was my response. We never heard about you guys, but we did a lot of stuff for you guys before. The other thing is that something that you need to have clear is you have values and you have priorities. I have values for the company, which values do not change. Priorities, they do change with time, with whatever is happening. So make sure you have that clear. What's the value for your company? What's the value for you? And what's our priority? Priority, I have, the way I see it's a critical path. If I have 3 things, they're all important, but which one should I do first? Because sometimes you want to do something and until you're not done, it's like taking a test and you're just stuck with this problem, and there's time passing and passing and passing, and you have time to do the other 2 that you actually were able to do just like that. So always look at that, like critical path, which one I should do first, or which one is holding the other 2, or 3 or 4. So that's the way I actually look at priorities.
Very good. And Alex?
So, the saying is Rome wasn't built in a day. I guess in this case, Havana wasn't built in a day. But it also wasn't built by one person. And so if you put too much on yourself, things will fall through the cracks. So there has to be team building. I pride myself on building good teams, whether it's our senior management, our in-store management, our social media management, We have teams that are given objectives that are followed up on and followed through on. And so as long as you have good people around you who are smarter than you, that are willing to work hard as a team towards a common goal, you won't burn out, things won't fall through the cracks, as long as everybody stays in their box and accomplishes their mission.
It's a great answer. And now thinking about, you got the business up and running, things seem to be humming along, and then a crisis happens. Can you imagine that? How about a pandemic? Or maybe a hurricane? Who would have thought a hurricane coming to Florida? You have supply chain issues. There's inflation. My goodness, everything's being thrown at you at one time. So let's talk about crisis management. How do you prepare to handle a crisis now that you've got the business up and running? Kenny, why don't we start with you?
Oh, that's a hard one. In my case, I think the best way to handle a crisis is communicate with your customers. When you have an issue, don't wait until last minute to tell them, hey, I can't deliver on time. As soon as you know, if you know you can't control it, if you can't somehow fix it before the deadline, right away, send an email, report it. I think most of the customers will understand, and it's like with the IRS. If they call you and you don't answer the phone and they keep calling you, one day they're going to show up and they're not going to show up in a nice way. So if you answer the phone, you put a face, they will. I mean, you got them already. You have a responsibility. You already have an order, and the best ways to diffuse it is let them know right away. That's because there's so many challenges like COVID. Who could it, guess what's going to happen?
Sure.
And then everybody's like working remotely, but then the system kind of got a little bit like scrambled, and then all the things start coming up like material. Right now we're facing about like specialty tooling. It's before you could get it 24 hours later. Now it's like weeks, and it's understandable. Now, what I do when something breaks now, I buy two. That's redundancy. So try whatever you can. I know it costs money, but whatever you can, especially something that you use a lot, stack up. Have always plan B.
Amore.
I think communication is key, not just with the clients or the customers. I think that's the first person you got to call, and I agree with that part of it because honesty is the best policy. But also communication with your team. And that's, I think, when there's a crisis, I think that's where the upper management or the leader of the idea has to step in and really prioritize for everybody. Because everybody looks at the crisis differently, but I think one person at that point has to take the lead and say, here's how we're going to solve the problem. And really roll just leaves the work. But I think communication is not just with your staff, but also with clients. And clients are number one always, in my opinion.
Good focus. Alex, how about you?
So I say now that because we were able to get the restaurants through COVID, I can do anything. And it's true. The reason I say that is when you literally, your business is taken away from you through no fault of your own, via pandemic or regulations, whatever it is, you have to adapt and change. And so what we did, for example, with COVID was we weren't able to operate normally. However, we still at that point were able to receive shipments of food while there was still a supply. So we went from Miramar Bakery for about 2 to 4 weeks to Miramar Market. And so we comprised a list of the essentials that most people would need: chicken, bread, eggs, milk, those types of things. And our customers would place orders to us. We would turn around and go to Cisco, Cheney Brothers, our vendors, buy bulk, and then we turned it into a market essentially for about a month. Eventually, things calmed down. We got back to normal. But anybody who tells you that inflation is in single digits is lying. And I can show you what my invoices looked like before COVID compared to what they are now. And so what we always try to do is adapt and change depending upon what the marketplace is asking us to do, while still being true to who we are and what the brand is. And you mentioned hurricanes. One thing we pride ourselves on, particularly at the bakery, is being opened up as soon as possible after a hurricane because it helps bring the community a sense of normalcy again. And being a community pillar is a big part of our corporate identity.
It's a great answer. We're wrapping it up now. I want to get to the audience questions, but we want to pass on a nugget, a 30-second answer. Aspiring entrepreneurs, startups maybe in the audience today that are thinking about a business. What's the 30-second nugget of wisdom that you can pass on to a person that's thinking about a business? Alex, why don't we start with you?
Well, I would say it's never too early and it's never too late to become an entrepreneur. So whether it's my example of being in law school, just a fat guy who loves to play with food, versus we have a family friend by the name of Ellen Latham. She was always in the fitness industry, had a fitness studio right here on University Drive. In her 50s, this single mother founded Orange Theory Fitness. So it is never too early, it is never too late to start your entrepreneurial journey.
Love it. Kenny.
Okay, you have 2 ears, 1 mouth, so listen more. When your customers, I know you have something to sell, you're very proud of what you do, what you make, but always listen to what they have to say, and you will be able to see what they actually need, what really is required from them, what will actually make their life easier. And once you see that, that's what you sell. And you will get their attention and you will get their trust, and they will actually throw work at you like crazy.
Wonderful. Amori.
I would say believe in yourself and get out of your comfort zone. And that's the hardest challenge I think it was in the beginning for me. It's just you just gotta believe you can get things done and get out of your comfort zone. Go to those areas that you say, wow, I don't think those person really want to talk to me about my ideas. Yeah, no, go talk to them. You never know. And just gotta do it. That's what I would say.
Beautiful. Let's get to your questions. Give them a round of applause for their nuggets of wisdom. And I know you're all thinking maybe about a question or two, and forget my back on this side of the room, but does anybody have a question that they would like to ask our panelists today? These are experts, the real deal right here.
To Amari.
Would you mind standing up? We have a person with a microphone right behind.
So Amari, you indicated that obviously when you initiated your business, it took you about a couple, $5,000, I think you said. And then you said that a lot of entrepreneurs underestimate that. How would you advise an entrepreneur that is trying to estimate that? How would they go about estimating that in their best effort, best way?
Well, I think what they have to do is basically whatever number you come up with as an entrepreneur on your spreadsheet or your late nights thinking about that, be ready to tear it down. Be ready to tear it down because what you think you have right, once you start really shopping and really start to put it in front of some other experts, which is what I wish I would have done earlier in my career, you would find out that you're way undercapitalized. So at that point, what I would tell you, do your spreadsheet, do your math, do everything. When you go out of your comfort zone and reach out to those experts in that industry that have been there and done that and grown, be ready to tear down your ideas and rebuild because that's what's going to happen. You might take you 2 or 3 times to do that. You just got to be, like you said, have thick skin and not be bashful that you don't have all the right ideas. So that's what I would tell somebody. Just do it yourself and then go out and get some advice and start again if you have to.
That's a great question. We have 2 more minutes, maybe 1 or 2 questions that anybody might have in the audience. Over here? Great. Do you have a microphone? Yeah.
First of all, thank you all for participating. My question is, at some stage in your businesses, you had to deal with bankers to get to that next level. What advice could you give us on how to deal with the bankers, both pro and con?
Well, actually, right now I'm starting to deal with bankers. Before I was I had everything in my chest here. And I think the best way to, my side, maybe I'm wrong, but to deal with banker is have your financials organized. When you start a business, then maybe that's, you pay everything, you pay your people, but do you really have a record of how the company is set up, how you keep all your bookkeeping? And in my case now that I'm trying to start talking to bankers and trying to get finance for more equipment, since I did a good job, it makes it a lot easier. Basically, I have a lot of documentation where it speaks by itself. I get very little questions. Whenever I get a question, I just instead of sending them something, I just send them, wow, here you go. More than you need. You need bank statements. How many years back you want, so you can see the growth of the company, how successful it's been. So in my case, I think that's having everything organized from the start.
Go ahead, Alex.
Well, you made him a better answer.
Yeah, no.
There's
no good answers for bankers.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. Is someone once told me that interest is cheaper than equity. So if you need money, I would definitely say go to a bank before you go and you give up equity in your company, unless it's a real stakeholder that brings other intrinsic value to the mission. As far as banks are concerned, we did an SBA loan through a different bank, so I won't mention their name. I saw banks although we do bank with Bank United. There you go. Interest is cheaper than equity, and if you need the money, get the money. Just don't overcommit to money without a real plan to pay it back. Because once you get in over your head, it starts snowballing and you're done.
Great answer. So please give a round of applause again for our wonderful experts and panelists today.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you again to all of our panelists. That was very insightful. We heard a lot about communication there as well. Fantastic. So we will now break for a few minutes before our next session. It is going to begin in this room at 11 o'clock a.m. And we will be featuring our keynote speaker, who is LinkedIn's Vice President of Diversity and Inclusion, Rosanna Dorothy. Also remember that right after lunch, we are going to be pulling the winner of our chance to win of a 6-month Explorer Pass from the Allen B. Levan NSU Broward Center of Innovation. This Explorer Pass is designed for a founder who is looking for a space to work on their business. It provides access to any available workstation in the Levan Center and access to co-working areas, the mailroom, and discounts to use their conference rooms, workshops, event spaces, their media studio, and more. You must be present to win. So we'll see you in a moment for the keynote session. If you are a board member in the room, we do ask that you join us at the step and repeat for a photo. Thank you.
Confiadamente me puedo acercar, evidentemente lograste transformar mi alma y mi mente, y en tu gracia siempre yo descansaré. Es incomparable, tu invencible amor es inevitable. Echa fuera el temor, es inolvidable. Desde hoy para siempre lo proclamaré. Ya no puedo aguantar esta pasión, no dejo de cantar. Esta canción no lo puedo ocultar. Tu dulce voz me hace recordar que cerca estás. Mi confianza solamente en ti estará. Sé que muy cerca estás. De la mano siempre tú me llevarás. Sé que muy cerca estás. acercar, evidentemente. Lograste transformar mi alma y mi mente. Y en tu gracia siempre yo descansaré. Es incomparable. Tu invencible amor es inevitable. Echa fuera el temor, es inolvidable. Desde hoy para siempre lo proclamaré. Ya no puedo aguantar esta pasión, no dejo de cantar. Esta canción no lo puedo ocultar. Tu dulce voz me hace recordar que cerca estás. Mi confianza solamente en ti estará. Sé que muy cerca estás. De la mano siempre tú me llevarás. Sé que muy cerca estás. Cerca estás, mi confianza solamente en ti estará. Sé que muy cerca estás.